Alright, one more video, and if you're subscribed to me, you're gonna all of a sudden have 3 new notifications from me, and I'm sorry, but I don't get at the computer much, and she's in a good mood, so I want to get these pounded out. I want to share my birth story about, the day I had this little cutie. Yeah. I was told from when I had my growth ultrasound at 21 weeks that she was a large baby. She was almost 2 pounds at 21 weeks. And when we went in for 3D ultrasound at 26 weeks, she had nice little chubby cheeks, so we knew we were in for a larger baby. My doctor didn't want me going farther than 39, 40 weeks because he was estimating her to be a 10-pound baby, and we didn't want that. Well, he set my induction date for 39 days and 1 day. The night before, I started having contractions. They got to about 6, 7 minutes apart, and then they died down. I called and they said, go ahead and wait since you're scheduled for an induction anyway. If they get any closer, like 2, 3 minutes apart, get in. So I waited, and my induction was scheduled for 7 o'clock that morning, and 5 a.m. rolls around, and I'm woken out of bed by some really painful contractions. And by the time I was heading to the hospital, they were 4 minutes apart. She said, hey, guys, I'm not being induced. I'm coming out by myself. Right? Yeah. When we got to the hospital, I was 4 centimeters dilated, and they're like, oh, wow, you're here for an induction, and you're in labor. Congratulations. And, we started getting it going. They started getting really nasty. By the time I was 5 centimeters dilated, they were a minute and a half apart. So I had a really nasty labor, and I got to 5, and I was stuck in the bed at that point because her heartbeat kept dropping really low, and my blood pressure was through the roof. So they said, you might consider an epidural. I know you don't want one, but you might consider it, better than a C-section kind of thing. And at that point, I was in so much pain. I was so worried about her. I went ahead and went with it. Well, the second they did that, I relaxed, her heartbeat relaxed, but 5 hours passed, and I didn't dilate anymore. So they started me on some Pitocin, and about 15 minutes into the Pitocin, my epidural wore off. That was fun. I wasn't allowed to move from the bed with an epidural worn off. And I dilated pretty quick at that point. I think it was around 2 p.m. I had her at 6:05, and I was, going and going. By the time I got 8 centimeters dilated, my contractions were 30 seconds apart. By the time, I kept going, check me, check me, check me, check me. I know I'm getting closer. I feel her. And they kept checking, okay, you're at a 9 with a lip, or a 10 with a lip, sorry. So they wouldn't let me push at that point. But I felt her head just lock in there. And I was like, all right, you might want to check me again. And sure enough, I was at a 10. And so they're like, all right, let's do some practice pushing. And 1 or 2 pushes in, they're like, okay, somebody call the doctor. And he came in and checked me. Yeah, she's going to progress really fast pushing. She might be a fast labor. And 5 minutes later, she was crowning and the doctor was gone. So they ran to get him. Don't push, don't push, don't push. And for 15 minutes, I was sitting there with a crowning baby. You want to know pain? Have an technically unmedicated, because, the epidural was gone at that point. Head just chilling there at your opening. Yeah, that's fun. Not really. The doctor came in, and he's like, oh, wow, yeah, she's right here. Let's get her out. And that's what we did. We pushed her right out, and out she came. It was 25 minutes. A little bit under 15 of it was there sat crowning, and I was pushing every other contraction. So I was pretty proud of myself. I was the talk of the labor and delivery floor there. I was the first-time mom who got her baby out in 25 minutes with, a little bit of complications there. I know. She's getting hungry. And, she came out 7 pounds, 12 ounces, not quite the 10-pounder or 9-pounder they were estimating, and 21.5 inches long. At 6:05 p.m., her grandma, my mom, and her aunts and uncles on my side were able to watch through Skype. And everybody else got pictures and phone calls right away after. And she's been a blessing. She's a great baby. She knows what she's doing breastfeeding-wise. I think she's a smart cookie. She's a happy girl. She started smiling at 3 weeks, so she's definitely a happy baby. It was a tough experience. I had a really rough labor because my contractions were so hard and so close together. But I wouldn't change it for the world, and she's definitely worth it. It's my face. That's my face.